Want to try a new pellet? Oh. Oh. What's up, bird gang? Alan here with Parrots&Co, and in this video, let's talk about converting your parrot from seeds to pellets. Now, I know what this feels like. You want the best for your parrot. You go to pick up your parrot from the breeder or the bird store and you're so excited to bring it home, and then you learn, oh my God, seeds aren't the best thing to be feeding my parrots. It's not good for them. It's got a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of fats. It's not a well-balanced diet. All right, little Skittles, it's time to be healthy and get onto this amazing, pellet diet with some nice chop so that you have the best quality of life possible. Then you go to feed your parrot these pellets. You're so excited. Your parrot then looks at its pellets and it's like, what the heck is this, human? And surely it takes every single pellet. You're like, yay, it's about to eat it, and it just tosses them out of the bowl. And no matter what you do, you can't get this bird to eat healthy and eat pellets. Sound familiar though? Imagine going from a McDonald's diet all your life, and then all of a sudden you have to eat, chicken salads, from 0 to 100 real quick. It's not going to be very exciting, right? And it's the same thing with parrots. We want to make that transition from seeds to pellets gradual. And let's talk about some different tips and tricks that you can implement to really make that conversion as smooth and effortless as possible. And maybe try something different in case your parrot is, just not wanting to budge, right? So first things first, let's talk about why it's important for your parrot to go from a seed to a pelleted diet. Now, if you're having problems with your parrot in terms of sometimes screaming, biting, aggressiveness, or just kind of acting up and you really can't tell why, you'd be surprised at how much changing a bird's diet will impact the way it behaves and interacts with you. I literally remember speaking to somebody on the channel that reached out, and basically they had a screaming parrot that was biting and wasn't acting. It just wasn't right. It was for no reason, right? And then I said, hey, why don't you start with making sure that your parrot's getting enough sleep and just try to convert over to pellets and maybe a chop over time. Slowly but surely, and sure enough, they reached back out and they said, oh my God, it's like a magic fix. My parrot is so much more different now that we've changed its diet. Well, it's not magic. It's called just good old quality science and good health in parents, right? So that's just one of the benefits of changing its diet. You can, drastically reduce the screaming, uneasiness of the bird, and even the biting or aggressive behavior that your parrot might have. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to completely fix it. I'm just saying that it's a great baseline to make sure that all the intrinsic components of your parrot are taken care of, so that you can kind of take steps from there to, better tame and train your parrot. But aside from that, making sure that your parrot is on a good, healthy, balanced diet will also make your training sessions more productive. It's going to increase the motivation for your parrot, or the desire for it to want to work for treats, because these seeds and these fatty deliciousness and goods aren't in their diet, so it gets excited. Like, imagine going out and having ice cream, Ben & Jerry's in your fridge all the time, and then somebody offers you Ben & Jerry's in exchange for, mowing the lawn or something, or doing dishes. You're going to say, well, I already got a lot. Why do I got to do anything extra to get more of this, right? It's the same thing with parrots. If they're always on a seed diet, or they're always eating snacks in their food bowl, fruit, things that are high in sugar, well, the chances are when you ask them to perform a desired behavior in exchange for that reward, they're not going to be very motivated, right? And that's one of the biggest breakthroughs that I definitely learned to make my motivation or Elfie's motivation increase in our training sessions. From there, you want to make sure that you choose the best pellets. Now, there are, there are specific brands of pellets that tend to have sugar added into the pellet formula. I think some of those that I've seen are like Supreme, KT has one. Basically, the pellets that are dyed usually tend to have a sugar in them. So I would rank them in terms of top 3. That would be probably on the lower end of a healthy pellet, because it has that sugar mixed into there. And part of that, I think, is because they want the parrot to enjoy the pellet so that you can buy it again, which kind of makes sense from a business perspective. Now, It's not as bad as an all seed diet, I would say, but it's definitely like a little bit of a step above, right? And then from there you can find more natural blends of, you know, these popular brands of pellets that don't have dyes or don't have sugar added to them, but they'll be lightly dyed or something. So that's kind of like the number two in the step up from, you know, something that has sugar in it and is heavily dyed. And then from there, what you can get as the top quality is more of a cold pressed, no artificial dyes or things really added to it, or not heavy in preservatives. That would be something like Top's pellet brand that I've seen that's probably at the top of that category in terms of the quality of the pellet for your bird. So if it's difficult to get your bird, you know, onto that grade A top of the top pellet, you might want to start at number 3 or number 2 in the beginning and then slowly make that transition over. And I know that depending on where you're at, some of these brands or some of these types of pellets won't be available, but the easiest way to go about doing that is to, you know, just check your label at the back of the packaging for the pellets and just really look at what's in there. And if you see kind of sugar in there and a lot of dyes, you probably want to stay away from that brand and see if you can find an alternative. Another good one that's pretty good is called Harrison's, another popular brand, but less dye, less artificial stuff in it. So those are some of the brands that I've seen that are okay. So choosing the pellet is also going to be important, and obviously having a pellet is still a step above having an all kind of seed mixed diet for your bird. Alright, so I got some of Elfie's older pellets, the dyed ones, so they don't actually have any sugar in them because they're a locally made brand, but I still wanted to get them onto something healthier, like something like this cold pressed pellet here. And what I'm doing basically now is I'm just kind of making it a 50-50 split, giving them some crushed cold pressed pellets, the ones that don't have color, and mixing them in with the ones he already eats. So he starts getting a feel for the flavor and what it's going to be like, and then eventually just kind of tries it out. So I'm going to make that gradual transition over the next few weeks, where it's going to go from like a 75-25 balance of his normal pellets to the new stuff, and then 50-50, and then eventually it's going to be 25-75, 25 being his normal pellets that he used to eat, and then the new one's is going to be 75%, and making that gradual transition over there. So let's see. I think he's just going to go for these guys first, the colored pellets, and then basically from there he'll have a chance to try the other ones. I do have Elfie's pellets weighed out, and I know exactly how much to give him. So part of understanding his weight and just knowing where he's supposed to be at and how much he should be eating plays into this as well, because obviously if I were to give him too many of those colored pellets and he got too full too fast, then he probably would just be like, I don't even want to try these other ones. So I calculated that in there as well. I knew it, Elfie. Going straight for the good stuff, aren't you? Why are you so cute, buddy? So the way that I did it, and I like to do it with Parrots and with Elfie, is to make a gradual shift from a seed diet into a 100% pelleted diet. And the way that we do this is to the 25, 50, 75, 100 method. And really what that means is you take the portion of what you feed your parrot, and you have 75% of it being seeds and 25% being actual pellets in there, so that your parrot starts to get used to it, get used to the smell, the taste. They might try it out for a little bit. It's probably gonna still go for the seeds because it's what it knows. You do that for a week, and then into the second week you would transition and make it 50-50, 50 pellets, 50% seeds, and then in the next week it's 75% pellets and 25% seeds, and then finally into the fourth week it's 100% of that pellet conversion, so you don't go from like 0 to 100 real quick and you get your parrot to fight you the whole way. So you can kind of make that transition gradual over 4 weeks, and that's kind of the method that I use with Elfie, and it worked well for him. But then there are some of those birds that are a little bit more kind of picky eaters, so to speak, right? Another thing I'll do too is I'll kind of just have him try them out of my hand and just kind of get the feel for the taste of what it's like. He's probably gonna toss them, but sometimes I'll look like I'm eating it myself and he'll give it a try. I'm just gonna have him kind of have a nibble on there and see what that's like. Yeah, oh no, you don't like it, huh? An important thing too when making the transition is you want to make sure that you're not like starving your bird, or he's at a point where he's losing too much weight and not eating, because sometimes that can happen with birds. And this is why when you put them onto a new pellet or something, or transition them from seeds, and this is why I like to take my time with it. It's not something I just kind of do overnight. It's a gradual transition. And sometimes to get Elfie interested, I'll start pretending like I'm eating the pellet, like I'm interested in it, or just the fact that I'm eating it and it looks like tasty because humans eating it, now he wants to try it. So he has since managed to take a few nibbles from it, but the taste is new to him, to this cold pressed pellet. And yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna keep letting him sample it, have it there in his bowl, and then mix the food portion so that he gets 25% of these cold pressed pellets in there with 75% of what he has before. And Elfie now wants to look for some snacks and play with his toys, apparently. So another thing that I'll actually do with Elfie to get him to try new things, which is a method that works really well for him because he's very food motivated. Like, he loves working for treats, and treats are probably the number one thing that he loves kind of working for in training sessions more than anything. So what I'll do is I'll have something that he might not be willing to try, or I know he might not like if I were to make that transition, or say, hey, I want him to try a new vegetable that I think he might not like. What I'll do is I'll have the kind of you can't have this method, where I'll start eating it and pretend like I'm eating it. I'll be like, oh yeah, this is so good, and I'll have him watch me. And because I'm eating something, he absolutely wants to know what it is, and he has to have some, even though he doesn't know what I'm eating. So then it'll get him interested, because I'm eating something and I'm making it look good, and he can't have it. Then he's like, hey, give me some, human, I want to try that. And that's how I'll get him to try new different foods. I've done it with like random things. Like, I've even tested it and I said, let me chew the cap of this marker or pretend to eat it and see if he's interested. And sure enough, he's like, what you got? What you doing, human? What you got there? Let me get some, So that's another technique you can try for those birds that might not be as inclined to want to try pellets. You can kind of act like you're eating it, show them that you're really interested in it, and get them to be interested out of curiosity. And because they can't have some, now they want some of what you got, right? You want some? You're trying it, huh? Well, that's one way to eat them, huh, Elfie? Now, another thing that works pretty well to get your parrot to really try out pellets, or at least, play with them and look forward to trying them out, is to put the pellets into your Parrot's foraging toys. So one thing that Elfie loves to do is whenever I put any snacks or anything new that looks like food into his like little foraging ball that I hang up, he absolutely wants to work for it, and he wants to figure out like, what is this thing in here? I want to try some, and he goes to work for it. Now, I will say that your parrots are going to be most motivated to want to forage and want to try things if you are controlling how much food that they are having, in terms of timing meals, in the morning, and then getting their second feeding in the late afternoon or early afternoon, evening, whenever that is, and just making sure that they're at a weight where they're not overweight, so that they're willing to work for food. That's two components that goes into the desire of a parrot to want to work for treats and forage and perform well in training sessions. Is you want to have the right quality food, you want to make sure that your parrot's at a weight where it's motivated to train, and then you want to make sure that you are timing the meals of when your parrot's eating to maximize that motivation. So when it comes to foraging toys, the same rules apply. Your parrot's not going to want to work for anything if it doesn't have motivation and it's being overfed. So just something to consider. But I'll put them into foraging toys, and I'll let him try it out and kind of explore and say, oh, what's this? Let me try it out. Look at this new colorful, or this new pellet that's in here. Let me try it out. It looks like food. I'm kind of hungry. That's one technique that I'll use with Elfie. And then lastly, what else you can try is, if you want to just get your parrot used to the taste, you can kind of grind the pellets and the texture into small pieces, kind of grind it down and sprinkle it over the food to like get to, you know, over its seeds or whatever it's eating, to kind of get it used to the taste of the pellets and the consistency and really what it's all about, the flavor. So yeah, I mean, those are some of the things that I've done to successfully transition my bird from an all seed diet basically all of his life for 8 years to a combination of chop and pelleted diet throughout the day daily now. If Elfie can do it, and he's a stubborn little guy sometimes, he's sometimes very stuck in his ways. If Elfie can do it after 8 years, I'm very confident that you can do it with your parrot as well. Oh, Elfie decided to give the cold pressed pellets a try, buddy. You're not so bad, huh? After throwing a few of them out. But that's it for this quick training video, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to download the how-to guide on parrot feeding, nutrition, and motivation with training in the description section below. That's a free guide available for download. Elfie and I are signing out for today. We will see you guys later, bird gang.